Representative Scott Perry from Pennsylvania's 10th. We talked about him on the show. He is one of those who I believe should already be in a jail cell awaiting trial, at the very least, if not already tried and serving a lengthy prison sentence. Well, Merrick Garland didn't do his job on this, and here is the consequences. From ABC News, Representative Scott Perry, a Republican from Pennsylvania, would not commit on Sunday to recusing himself from a possible House GOP investigation of the Justice Department's January 6th investigation, even though federal investigators have looked at his role in the larger effort leading up to the insurrection and had previously seized the man's cell phone. Remember, we talk about how much defense the Justice Department runs for conservatives. Imagine how bad something has to be for them to seize a conservative politician's cell phone. Why should I be limited? Perry said, obnoxiously. Why should anybody be limited just because someone has made an accusation? Well, because the Justice Department is investigating you. Everybody in America is innocent until proven otherwise, Perry told ABC This Week anchor George Stephanopoulos. I can answer a couple of those right off the bat with just one answer, because it really does look like you were involved, Scott Perry. It really looks like you were involved. And this, at the very least, has the appearance of corruption. And frankly, it is corruption. On Monday, Republicans will vote to approve a package of rules governing the 118th House of Representatives that would establish a new panel to investigate what they call the weaponization of the federal government. Remember, I told you, the purpose of these committees that the MAGA extremists are now going to put together is to make the January 6th committee look like it was simply political. That's all they're trying to accomplish. They don't expect to get any charges filed or anything done, really, other than to diffuse the effectiveness of the January 6th committee. That's all they are trying to do. Because both will make a lot of headlines, and so far, it appears that neither will result in a conviction or charges filed. You can't count the charges against the rioters. Those aren't people in politics. Those aren't going to matter. MAGA will just say, oh, that was Antifa. It's that simplistic for them. If approved, the rules package would give the Special Judiciary Subcommittee broad authority to investigate how many parts of the federal government gathers and analyzes information about Americans, including ongoing criminal investigations. So, including an investigation into Scott Perry. And Scott Perry asked obnoxiously, why should I be limited? The answer, Scott Perry, is because there is an ongoing criminal investigation into what you're doing. Right-wingers have no ethics. Right-wing politicians have no ethics, no morals whatsoever. According to the article, Democrats contend those provisions could be used to determine sensitive law enforcement investigations, such as the one into former President Donald Trump and the January 6th Capitol attack, in direct conflict with long-standing policy that the Justice Department does not share information with Congress related to ongoing investigations. Do note, the January 6th committee did all their own work. In fact, a lot of what they found appeared to have been a revelation to the Justice Department. They found new information, which the Justice Department asked for. It tells you how serious the Justice Department was about investigating the people that actually caused this. They are too pleased to go after poor people that look like crazies. But right-wingers who actually organize this thing, no interest. The rules would also grant the special panel access to the same highly sensitive classified information provided only to the House Intelligence Committee. Let me ask you, does it sound like a good idea? to have them get a list of the people they need to pressure, of the people they need to threaten, to stop investigations, of the people they need to manipulate. We should have had charges filed already. This is part of the reason why. I suspect Merrick Garland hopes there is interference from right-wingers so he can blame his cowardice on that. Merrick Garland has no interest in doing his job. Let's have a look at who Scott Perry really is. Perry has said he believes that election security was compromised in 2020 despite no evidence of widespread fraud. By the way, the cases of fraud we have seen have largely been Trump supporters. We've had Trump supporters voting twice. We had Trump supporters voting in with dead family members' names. We've had Trump supporters, wildly unethical Trump supporters, engaging in voter fraud. Sure. You really don't see people on the left doing that. He said his phone was seized by the FBI, again, because there is an active investigation into him, in August, but his attorney said the Department of Justice said he wasn't the target of their investigation. I'm sure they did. Perry sued to stop the DOJ from accessing the contents of his phone and separately refused a request for his records from the recently ended House January 6th committee, but he met with the committee along with his attorney in November 2021 after being subpoenaed. So let me be clear. There may not be a file somewhere that says this is the investigation into Scott Perry, but he is a part of their investigation. As long as he is a part of their investigation, they could choose to focus the investigation on him. He could become a target. Understand that if he is on a committee deciding whether or not the Justice Department has any power, that's going to affect that. He is not going to say, yeah, you should investigate me. That sounds good. That sounds like the right thing to do. So remember that if you want an example of who they might be investigating, when we did that coverage of Raw News and Politics talking about Scott Perry, we talked about the two Texas businessmen who appeared to have been some of the orchestrators of the fake electors plot, as we see that A.G. Nessel is now looking into from the Michigan side of things. Well, those two Texas businessmen were contacts of Scott Perry. He had an existing relationship with them. Lord knows how corrupt that was, but he has an existing relationship with them. It is likely that that is the connection. Watch this space. We're going to keep following it. I got to give credit again to Raw News and Politics. If I didn't include that link in the live stream, I certainly will in the re-upload. She did a fantastic look into the January 6th transcripts and the Scott Perry connection there. He appears to be one of the major orchestrators. He absolutely must be investigated. And certainly, he cannot be on a committee, or rather, he should not be on a committee, in charge of determining whether or not the Justice Department is allowed to investigate these people, or has abused its power in investigating these people. Of course he can't. Anyone with a shred of ethics wouldn't even consider such a thing. Well, guess what? Link in the description. If you feel strongly about this, tell the Justice Department. Tell them it's time to file charges. It's time to do their job. It's been years. We have a massive list of Republican corruption, of Republican criminality that is still unaccounted for. I'm delighted to see that the Michigan Attorney General is taking this seriously. We're likely going to talk about this again because I want to do a more in-depth breakdown of what you can do and what you can say to your state's attorney general to get this done. I also wanted to say, didn't even have a chance to talk about a wonderful suggestion from a commenter saying that people should print voting records of their representatives and distribute them in their district. We're going to get into stuff like that, but it's a one-man band over here, so there's a finite amount of hours in the day. And if you were watching my earlier live stream, you will know that occasionally we also have technical problems. So, trying to build this channel. If you enjoy this content, if you think it has value, if there's value to you in having workable, realistic plans for what you can do about news, politics, the issues that matter to you, consider liking, consider subscribing. It's massively beneficial to me. It keeps leftist content popular online, which increases the odds that leftist policy will get made and that we will have justice in the United States of America for once. It's been good developments. Lula is not taking this nonsense from insurrectionists in Brazil. Be on the lookout for how that might be an example of how America could play out. Watch for developments there, and also watch the speed at which they are able to hold the organizers of their version of J6 accountable. Watch them for that. Dana Nessel, reopening the state investigation. Excellent. Scott Perry, openly showing how corrupt he is. It's coming to a head in a good way. People are learning how America works and how America doesn't work. Likes and subscribes are appreciated, and thank you for joining me today on Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake.